We start, Prakash?
Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions offered by Bindoji are the deep manana on Bhagavad Gita. We are on class number 8. So we'll have 2 classes, after which there will be 2 more days of break, transitioning into the new year. I've also pasted the link for the YouTube channel, Advaita Retold, where you can see a catalogued series of talks offered by Bindoji from Upanishads, Aparoksha Anubhuti and Bhagavad Gita. For the purpose of maintaining a decorum, we'll close the hand raising and the chat when Bindoji is going through the class for about an hour, after which we'll have about half an hour for hand raising. You can come up and ask questions, you can put it in the chat. And yes, thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you all for coming. Let me start with the invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Pyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Tunvandi Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapada Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pasyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam na Vidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So, we were in the Shankara Bhashya, the preamble before the second chapter is commented by Sankaracharya, where he said, I shall explain it briefly. Vivaranam karishyami. Sankshepataha vivaranam karishyami. Artha nirdartanartham. For determining its meaning, which is confusing and extremely contradictory if you are looking to the earlier commentators who had stuck to different aspects of it. So now he is doing introduction to the Gita Shastram per se, what it is, how it is, and why it is. Tasyasya Gita Shastrasya Sankshepataha Prayojanam Paranishreyasam Sahetukasya Samsarasya Atyanta Uparama Lakshanam. Tasya Asya Gita Shastrasya. This Gita as a Shastra of that scripture, Param Nishreyasam Hetukasya. The highest purpose of Gita Shastram is Paranishreyasam. That means highest liberation. Param Nishreyasam. Liberation is character. And it has to be Samsarasya Atyanta Uparama Lakshanam. Complete cessation of transmigration. Sahetukasya. Along with its causes. Not only that samsara is removed, but it is removed permanently, completely. Atyanta Uparama. And Sahetukasya means along with its causes. Here what happens is that he is giving an indication towards what is liberation. Liberation is absence of the worldly experience of birth, death, age, sickness, etc. What is called samsara in Sanskrit. Samsara means it is moving from birth to death. So that movement and again coming back to birth and death. So this cycle of birth and death continuation is called the samsara. Atyanta uparama lakshana means complete cessation is its identification or characterization. And how sahetukasya, along with its hetus, means causes. As human beings, we are every day experiencing a state where we do not have the phenomenal world for experience in our deep sleep. So that is the time when we are in a state of liberation temporarily without any birth, death, sickness, age or body consciousness at all. But that doesn't remain there. Again we are coming back to the waker and the dreamer, etc. So it is not a atyanta uparama or complete cessation. The complete cessation is what Gita Shastra is teaching us in the form of param nishreyasam, extreme or highest purpose of liberation. How does it say that? Tadcha sarva karma sannyasa purvakad atmajnana nishta rupat dharmad bhavati. Dharmad bhavati. It happens from the duties of how? Sannyasa purvakatva, preceded by the renunciation. So dharma is stopping before that we are taking sannyasa. So sarva karma sannyasa. So, and all the results of dharma, which is the righteous duties, etc., consisting in steady adherence to knowledge of the self, preceded by renunciation of all rights and duties. Here, the word sarva karma sannyasa is very important because Sankaracharya is harping upon this aspect of sarva karma sannyasa throughout Bhagavad Gita. Unless and until we have that sarva karma sannyasa, means total renunciation of the doership, that only will give us the liberation. Atmajnana nishta, that is the where when you don't have sarva karma, when you do the sannyasa or when you do the renunciation, you have to be abiding in atmajnishta before that. Then only you can do that. Now atmanishta, jnana nishta, atmajnana nishta, there is the knowledge about Atman and nishta. Nishta is the abiding. Now this abiding in the nishta can happen only when the nididhyasana becomes matured and fructified. Before that, we have the studies of Vedas, Upanishads, etc. Then Shravana Manana happens, all those things, leading to nididhyasana. So that Atmajnana Nishta is the final culmination whereby we know that we are not the physical entity or the waker dreamer or the deep sleeper, but we are the self, Atma. And Atma becomes the jnana for our own this thing, that I am Atman, Aham Brahmasmi. So that becomes a nishta or an abidance for us. Now, before abidance, whatever we do is not nishta, but it is a what you call an activity, which shows that there is a doership in those activities. So that is why when he says that tad means nishreyasam cha sarvakarma sannyasa purvakat atmajnana nishtha rupat dharmat bhavati. That only preceded by that renunciation, all these things can happen. Tada imam eva gitartam dharmam uddishya bhagavata eva muktam sahi dharma suparyapta brahmana padavedane iti anugitasu Mahabharata Ashwa Parva tatra eva cha uktam na eva dharmi nacha adharmi nacha eva hi shubha shubhi. In the same Mahabharata Ashwa Parva, saying Anugita along with it. Yaha syad ekasane leenaha tushnim kinchat achindayan. Again Mahabharata Ashwa Parva. Then one more he is quoting Jnanam Sannyasa Lakshanam. That is also from the Ashwaparva of Mahabharata. So what does he say that? Thus having in the mind that very dharma or the righteous duties to be the purport of Gita, it has been said, Bhagavan himself in the Anugita. These are all the words of the opponent, not of Sankaracharya. That virtuous past is quite adequate for realization of Brahman. That's the word, 17th verse. Sahi dharma suparyapta brahmanaha padavedane. That is the Mahabharata Ashwaparva 16:12. Moreover, in the same place where he also said, one who is neither a follower of virtue, not even wise, etc. And that is also from Ashwaparva. And not engaged in good or bad. He who remains absorbed in the same posture, silent and without thinking of anything else. It also has been said that knowledge is distinguished by renunciation. So when he is saying these things, this is all not Shankaracharya's word. The opponent is asking that in the Mahabharata itself, where Gita and Anugita is written, this hankering of dharma or the righteous duties is very much mentioned in it. Iha api cha ande uktam arjunaya sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. 1866. Iti. Not only there in the Mahabharata, here Bhagavad Gita also, Iha api cha ande, toward the end, uktam arjunaya uktam. Towards, for the benefit of, it has been said to Arjuna that abandoning all forms of rights and duties, take refuge in me. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Abhyudayartham artaha api yaha pravritti lakshanaha dharmaha varnan ashramahan ta uddishya vihitaha sa devadisthan prati hetu api san ishwararpana buddhya anushthiyamanaha sattva shuddhaye bhavati phalabhi santi varjita. Abhyudayartham, that means characterized by the action and the dharma. Pravritti lakshana dharma, that the dharma which is characterized by action. For whom? Varnashraman uddishya, for the different stages of life and the varna, whatever is the varna of them. And it is meant that achieving prosperity by and attaining heaven, etc. Where that pravritti lakshanam, or the means of righteous duties as described or as in the what you call injunction by the Vedas. When one does it, he is acquiring dharma, and that dharma is with for the prosperity and attaining heaven. Because Swarga Kamo Yajeta, there is a yajna which for the purpose of that. When performed with the attitude of dedication to Bhagavan without desiring for the results, will lead to purification of the internal organ. That is Anushtiyamanaha Swatta Shuddhaye Bhavati. So what Shankaracharya says is that even though these Dharma Granthas or the Vedas have indicated that Agnihotram Juhyad, Surgakamo Yajeta, all those things, that wherever you have to do dharma, wherever you do the actions, etc., has been very clearly mentioned by the Vedas. Shankaracharya is giving the answer to the questioner, saying that yes, those actions definitely are ordained by the Vedas, and only when it is dedicated to Bhagavan without hankering for the results or the desires out of it, leads to purification of Antakarna. So Shankaracharya said even Pravarti Lakshana, not only Shreyas, Nivarti Lakshana which is for emancipation or revelation, not only that, even Pravarti Lakshana is precursory for the internal organ purification, that is Chitta Shuddhi, etc. Shuddha Sattvasya cha Jnana Nishta Yogyada Prapti Dwarena Jnanotpatti Hetutvena cha Nishreyasa Hetutvam Api Pratipadyate. That is what is that. In the case of a person with purified Chitta, internal organ, it becomes the cause even for final liberation by becoming the means for attaining the fitness for ready adherence of knowledge. That is Jnanotpatti, Yogyata Pratipatti Dwarena, Jnana Nishta will lead Hedu for Nishresa, Hedutvam. And thus, Tatacha imam eva artham abhisantaya vakshati brahmani adaya karmani. Gita Shlokam, 5th chapter. Yoginaha karma kurvandi sangam tektya atma shuddhaye. That is Gita 5, again, 5th chapter, 20 and 21. What does it say? Having this very meaning in view, only Bhagavan has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5.10 and 5.11, that dedication actions of duties and rights, etc., that is the Pravarti Marga, to Brahman, that is to Bhagavan himself. That is Brahmani Adaya, Karmani. Then, Yoginaha Karma Kurvandi Sangam Tektva Atma Shuddhaye. By giving up the attachment, yogis undertake dharmas for the purification of oneself, of their Antakarna Shuddhi. Atma Shuddhaye means here Atma is not for purifying Atma, here Atma stands for the Antakarna. So Atma, depending upon where it is being used, we have to understand very clearly. We should not conduct that Atma can be purified. No. What is happening? Yoginaha karma kurvanti. Yogis are doing the karma sangam tektva, by abandoning the attachments. For what? Atma shuddhaye. Their Atma is Chitta Shuddhi. Atma shuddhaye means Chitta Shuddhaye. Imam dviprakaram dharmam nishreyasa prayojanam paramartatvam cha Vasudeva Akhyam Param Brahmavideya Budam Visheshataha Abhivanjya Yad Vishishta Prayojana Sambandha Bhideyavat Gita Shastram. So, what is that? That's the first sentence there. Imam dviprakarakam dharma nishreyasam prayojanam. Thus, this scripture, Gita, while particularly revealing the twofold dharma for liberation, that is, pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma, liberation as its goal, and the supreme reality Brahman, Vasudevakyam, in the form of Vasudeva or known as Vasudeva, as a subject matter comes to the special purpose, prayojana, relationship, sambandha, and subject matter, vishaya. Since yataha tadarte vijnate samasta purushartha siddhaha ataha divarane yajnaha kriyate maya. Since from a clear knowledge of this purport, all human ends become fulfilled. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all of them. Therefore, an effort is being made by me to expound it. So, Sankaracharya says that this is giving us a complete fulfillment. The one book, because all other books are talking only about liberation, mukti, and some meditation for the chitta shuddhi. But here, that doesn't meet any purushartha other than moksha, all the Upanishads. So, but here, Bhagavan, in the form of Vasudeva, called by Krishna or Vasudeva, is defining two methods of dharma, which is the pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma, and nishesayasa prayojanam, and the benefit of the liberation. Not only that, what happens is, it is talking about that Paramartha Tattvam Brahma Videya Budam Visheshata Abhivanjayat Vishishta Prayojana Sambandha Abhideyavat. That is, all the four aspects of a Grantha is met by the definition, that is Prayojana, Sambandha, relationship, and subject matter Vishaya. All of them are covered in the Gita. Therefore, it makes mandatory for me to put an effort to expound it or to comment upon that. Now, he has put that why he is doing the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Because this is a complete encyclopedia or a handbook by itself, where Bhagavan Krishna, who is Brahman itself, has taken an amsha and taken the birth as Vasudeva. He is the one who is giving the instruction Arjunam Nimitti Kritya, by making Arjuna as a medium for all of us, for the all entire humanity. The means of Pravritti Shastram also can be used for Nivritti or Nishesam. Not only the Nivritti Marga, which has been done by the Sanakadi, whereas Marishyadi, who did the Vedokta Dharmas, when it is being done in the form of a surrender to the Lord, that also becomes Chitta for the Chitta Shuddhi, and a purified intellect only is the place where the knowledge can adhere. Therefore, atracha drishtvachu panduvanikam iti arabhya na yotsyaha idi govindam uktva tushnim babuvaha. That is Gita, chapter 1, second verse to second chapter, 9th verse. Ityedavantaha praninam shoka mohadi samsara bija buddha dosha bhava karana pradartanartettvena vyakhyayo grandaha. So he is saying that now, that between this Drishtva to Panduvanikam, chapter 1, second verse, to the chapter 2, 9th verse, where Na Yosya iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Babuva. This is the Sanjaya, he is explaining that. Ityeta Antaha, Grandaha, Praninam. For this Granda is for the Pranis, means here human beings. Shoka Mohadi Samsara Bija Buddha Doshat Dosha Udbhava Karana Pradarsanartatvena. Now this word, Praninam Shoka Mohadi Samsara. Shoka cha Moha, that is Shoka and Moha, is in Dundva Samasa. Now Shoka cha Moha Yesham Te Shoka Mohadeya. That becomes a Bahuvri. This is not Shoka Moha, is not only indicating Shoka and Moha, Adayaha is the word used that. So when it is Adi, it is starting with Shoka and Moha, then comes that is called the Shatvairis. There are 6 enemies over there. Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Labha, all those things are coming. Samsarasya Bijam, Samsara Bijam. That is the cause for the samsara are Shoka Mohado. Shoka Mohadeha eva samsara bija budam. Shoka samsara. That is from where the bija budam means the cause emanating from the Shoka Moha, etc. is the reason for the samsara to happen. Tasya Udbhava means the beginning of that. Shoka Mohadi Bija Buddha Doshavat Doshodbhava. Then he is now bringing the Vishaya. What is the Vishaya? Tasmin Vishaye Karanam Shoka Mohadi, etc. So all these things are Shoka Mohadi Bija Buddham. Means the entire feeling that we are having birth, growth, decay, death, etc. The Shat Bhavas, that is Bhava Bhudam. That is what is being generated in our mind by the results attained from the Shoka, Moha, etc. When the desires are there, there is expectation. When the expectation is broken, we are getting into a Shoka or the sorrow. When it is satisfied, we get into happiness. That is Pramoda. So like that, the Shoka, Moha are the primordial cause which is giving rise to the feeling that we are having birth and death. Why? When we are having a desire, Swarga Kamo Yajeta, the one who wants a Swarga should do Yajana, Yaga. So it's a desire for a birth in the Swarga that is leading us to do the action of Pravritti Dharma, which is ordained in the. But when we abandon the Moha as a Samarpanam, Sarma Sannyasam at the feet of the Lord, the same action which we are doing for the purpose of Surga, which is our desire, is now no more a desire for that, but the action is offered in the feet of the Lord. Whatever is being given by the Lord for the actions which we, because every action has a result. So the phalam or the result of the karma is now not decided by the desire, but it is decided by Bhagavan or Krishna or Ishvara to whom we are surrendering that. So this is explaining literally that by Arjuna's grief, what is shown as the delusion and grief are shown by how can I fight with Bhishma and Drona, etc. These are caused by the attachment and separation, guilt, etc. And what causes this attachment? By an erroneous notion that I belong to them. These are my people. These are the effect which is happening. So that is what Sankaracharya mentioned, that Kataham Bhishmam Sankhya Ityadinaha Rajya Guru Putra Mitra Suhrid swajana sambandhi bandhaveshu ahamesham mama ete itedam bhranti pratyaha nimitta sneha vinjed dadadi nimittau atmanaha shokamoha pradarshitau. So by saying that they belong to them, these people are mine, with regards to their kingdom, teachers, sons, friends, well-wishers, relatives, etc., law in the hands, all of them are being shown as me or mine. I am theirs, they are mine. This is what is called the attachment. So, next one is the Shoka Mohabhyam. Abhibhuta Viveka Vijnanaha Swataha Eva Kshatra Dharme Yuddhe Pravruttaha Api Tasma Yuddat Uparama Param Dharmam Cha Bhiksham Jivana Adhigam Kartum Pravrutte Shoka Mohabhyam. Due to the engagement in the, Shoka and Moha. Abhibhuta Viveka Vijnanam. This Vijnanam, Aviveka Vijnanam, this error in understanding or the error of knowledge or Aviveka is Abhibhuta means arising out of Shoka Mohabhyam, of Shoka and Moha, etc. Yes, Swataha Eva Shatra Dharme Yuddhe Pravrittopi. Even though as a Shatra Dharma, that is also Pravritti Dharma, as per the Vedas. Pravritte api, even though he is supposed to be engaged, Arjuna, whose discriminative power has been lost, is now overpowered by the grief and delusion. Therefore, he withdrew from the war and disengaged from the following of the duties. And he says that living on the beggarly life, indicating sannyasa, kartum pravartade, is what he feels that is the right thing to do because of how he can eliminate his own relatives. Tatacha sarva praninam shoka mohadi dosha avishta chedasam swabhavataha evam swadharma parityagaha pratishidda seva cha syat. Tada cha shoka mohadi dosha avishta chedasam sarva praninam swabhavataha eva swadharma parityaga pratishidda seva cha syat. So in the prose order, when I am reading it, the meaning comes like that. Similarly, tadacha means similarly. For all living beings, especially human beings, sarva pranina, it is not only for human beings, but especially for human beings, whose minds are possessed or overpowered by problem of grief and delusion. Shoka mohadi dosha avishta chetasa. So what happens then? Giving up one's duty and restoring to others' duty will happen naturally. That is, abandoning the war and taking the sannyasa, which is the not duty of a kshatriya, he starts thinking. That is why it will happen naturally. Swabhavataha swadharma parityagaha pratishidda dharma seva syad. The pratishidda means that has been prohibited for a kshatriya who is supposed to win a war for the dharma purpose. But he is now sitting, now throwing up his arms. Swadharme pravurtanam api tesham vanmanakayadinam pravurtihi phala abhisandhi purvakaihi eva saha kankshakara cha bhavati. Swadharme pravrittanam api. Even though those who are engaged in their duties, activities of vang manaha means speech and body and other organs, become pravritti phala abhisanda purvika, that is preceded by the desire for the phala avriti, means the benefit out of the action, with the ego in the form of doership and enjoyership. That is what happens, saha ahankara. So sahankara cha bhavati. So it is all due to the individuality, and he feels that all these things are my duties. He doesn't know what is his duty and what is others' duty, because now he is overwhelmed and grief-stricken, and he is in a delusion. Tatra evam sati dharma adharma cha adharma upachayad ishtanishta janma sukha dukkha sampratti lakshanaha samsara anuparato bhavati ityataha samsara bija budau shoka moha. Tatra evam sati, that being so, a person who is in the spell of shoka mohadi will either give up his swadharma or will do it with a sense of doership and enjoyership and for material benefit only. He will do this dharma not for surrendering unto the Lord, but for his own doership and enjoyership, with the result in the mind. Because of the accumulation of punya and papa, samsara, which is characterized by the attainment of desirable, undesirable birth, and pleasure and pain, which becomes continuous, unabated. Therefore, the grief and delusion are in the form of seed of bondage. That is why samsara bija bhuta shoka moho bhavadityadaha. So, this, when it is not done in the form of karma sannyasa, even though it is in injunction in the Vedas, the same will give rise to desires, and then that desires will give rise to actions with the doership and enjoyership. This deterioration in the understanding of the Vedic rules is the reason what prompted Narayana to become Devaki Putra, Akhya, Vasudevasya. So when in the beginning Sankaracharya mentioned that Krishna took birth for the purpose of reclaiming the dharma. This is what is called adharma, where when the shoka mohadi, the samsara bija bhudam, that the sorrow and the happiness or the desires giving rise to the doership and enjoyership is adharma as per Sankaracharya. Only because it becomes a dharma for the purpose of chitta shuddhi when it is being surrendered to the Lord. Now, solution to the root cause. Aksheva samadhanam. So, the answer is that tasya scha sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atmajnana anya nanyata atmajnana tayoho anyata nivritti riti tadu upapatti vikshuhu upapadidikshu sarvalokanugrahartam arjunam nimitti kritya iha bhagavan vasudevaha ashochan ityadi. And Cha sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atmajnanat tayoho. That is removal of these two, which is grief and delusion, shoka moha, is only by nothing other than na anyataha nivritti iti. That is why the knowledge received by renunciation, nivritti iti, tat upapavitishu. That is the what you call desirous of teaching, upapavitishu. Desirous of teaching that knowledge of how shoka moha can be destroyed is the reason why Bhagavan Krishna says that Ashocyananya Shochastvam in the 2:11 thing, for blessing all people, keeping Arjuna as representative. That is Sarva Lokanugraham Aha Ashocyan Ityadi. Arjunan Nimitti Kritya. Who? Bhagavan Vasudeva. Tatracha Tatra Kechit Ahu Sarva Karma Sannyasa Purvakat Atmajnana Nishta Matra Deva Kevalat Kaivalyam Na Prapyataha Eva. The Purvapakshi says now, Atra Kechitu Aha. The Purvas. Kevalat Sarva Karma Sannyasa Purvakat Atmajnana Nishta Matrad Kaivalyam Na Prapyate Eva. So, with regards to this means regards to the moksha asmin vishaye, or this when shastram is the vishaya, where it says that shastrartham is moksha by jnanam, nirdharitaha by siddhanti, by siddhanti asmin sati asmabihi shastrartham nirdharayate sati. At that time, some say Veda Vadinaha Shoga Karma Samuchayadi Vadinaha Vrittikaraha. There is a commentator called Vrittikara before Sankaracharya. He has mentioned that moksha is indeed not attained by mere pursuit of knowledge of self. It has to be preceded by renunciation for all karma alone. So what he says that Kevalat sarva karma sannyasa purvagat atmajnana nishta matrad kaivalyam na prapideva. This liberation, kaivalyam or kevalasya bhava, that liberation of where you do not have the second one, the non-dual Brahman, that atmajnana nishta matrad, only by atmajnana nishta, that is how, what type of atmajnana nishta? Sarva karma sannyasa purvagat. Only if it is preceded by the renunciation of karma and abiding in the Atma, then only the Kaivalyam na prapyade. That is what the Vrittikaran and the earlier commentator says, that you will not achieve that, because the knowledge of Atman is a knowledge. It is not an action. So how can a knowledge remove a thing which is to be removed by action? Because without action, how can my ignorance go? If I need to remove my action, I need to take effort and learn this, have the knowledge of that thing. So there is an effort in acquiring the knowledge. So the previous commentators have refuted saying that this is not the necessary method alone through which you can go by liberation. So the Vedanti asks, then what is the means for Kaivalya? Kim tarhi Kaivalyam bhavati? Agnihotradi Shrauda Smarta Karma Sahitat Jnanat Kaivalya Praptihi Iti Sarvasu Gitasu Nirdishyate Artaha Iti. So, the attainment of moksha or the self-knowledge along with the activities defined in the Vedas like Agnihotra, etc. And when as defined by the Smriti Grantha like the Gita, it is well ascertained that the purport of entire Bhagavad Gita is for the, for the purpose of, which is Srauta Smartha Karma Sahidat Jnanat. The jnana can never be attained without doing the karma, dharma karmas. That is what the Jnapakam cha ahuhu syat asya arthasya atha chetvam imam madhyam sangramam na karishyate. 233. Karmanyeva adhikaraha te, Gita 247. Kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam iti. So the Purvapakshi says that those people who attain or those people who mention an indicator of this jnana karma samuchaya by means of moksha, as a means of moksha, that is, you cannot do knowledge alone. You need to do a karma. Then only the karma can lead to jnana. And he is quoting these verses from Gita, that atha chetva mimam sadyam sangraman na karishadi. And if you do not fight this righteous war, then you will be acquiring sin. Papam sangraman na karishyasi. Appropriates by you only for karma. That is, kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. What is evan karmanye vyadhikaraste, by giving up of adhikara for karma. All those things are indicating that karma has been declared by Gita as is. Himsadi yuktatvad vaidigam karma dharma yedi ayam api asanga na karya. Again, Purvapakshi says, even this doubt should not be raised. Vaidiga karma is endowed with violence. Therefore, that is the cause for the prabha. Katam, how does it happen? So that Kshatram karma yuddha lakshanam guru brad putra himsa lakshanam atyanda krutataha aptamavi swadharmaha idi kritva na adharmaya tat karanecha tataha swadharmam kirtincha hitva papam avapsyasi. Gita 233. Idi bruvataha yavat jivati shruti choditanam swakarmanam paswadi himsa lakshananam cha karmanam prageva na adharmatvam iti suchitam uktam bhavati iti. So he is continuing the opponent that the duty of a Kshatriya in the form of war, which may be characterized by the killing of the teacher, brother, son, etc., though very cruel, is not a cause for adharma. It will not incur papa, because that is his duty. And if it is not done, Sudharman, if it is not done, one will get papa. And as the Lord himself says in a sentence, that is, on the other hand, giving up duty alone, fame, you will attain papa. That is the verse Gita 33. Tata swakirtim swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. You will incur papam, or you will accrue sin if you are abandoning your dharma. Saying this manner definitely suggested as already, it's a foregone conclusion that by the Lord that the sentences Shruti such as long as Yavat Jivadi, one should perform Agnihotram. Yavat Jivam Agnihotram Kuryat. That is prescribed activities in the Vedas for the one's own duties. Even though Agnihotra is characterized by violence to animals, Pashwadi Himsa Lakshananam are not unrighteous. So the Purvapakshi says that even that there is a himsa or a murder or a killing of a pashu, of an animal for the yaga, Agnihotra, yavat jivam Agnihotram juhyat. There is a statement in the Rigveda. As long as there is life, the Brahmana should do the Agnihotra, which characterized by the Pashwadi himsa, by the killing of animals. So all this is indicating toward that tadasad buddhi jnana karma nishta yo dharma karmayoho vibhagaha vajanat buddhihi dvayasrayo. That is the tadasat. When we say that, Siddhanti says that is invalid. Your statement is invalid. Because there is a mention of the division of lifestyles committed to knowledge and action, and because of these lifestyles have their own basis for the opposite understanding. Buddhi dvayasrayoho jnana karma nishtayoho vibhagaha vajanat Bhagavad Gitaya. In the Bhagavad Gita. That what is that? Jnana karma nishta. It is mentioning jnana karma as a nishta, but it is buddhi dvayasrayo. When the intellect is depending upon the duality, that is the time when this. So, Ashocyan ityadinan Bhagavata yavat swadharmam api chavakshe Gita 2:31. Ityedat antena grandena yat paramartha tattvam nirupanam kritam tat sankyam tad vishayaha buddhiratmanaha janma adi vikriya bhavat akartatvam iti prakaranarte nirupanadya jayate sa sankhya buddhi sa yesham jnaninam amuchita bhavati te sankhya. So Sankaracharya is now replying to that. Absolute self, which is the Supreme Brahman, whose description was given by Lord, by the entire text starting from Ashocyan 2:11, ending with 2:30, where it says that Swavarmam api cha vekshya. So, having limited up to 31, the absolute self, which is the supreme reality, Sankyam. So, here the word Sankyam means supreme reality or knowledge. The understanding regarding the self, which is the Sankhya Buddhi. Atma akarta bhavati. Akarta. Atma is akarta since there is absence of 6 modifications, etc. in Atma. In this manner, the understanding is born by the analysis of the teaching of this section 2:11 to 2:30 is what is called the Sankhya. For those learned people, Paroksha-jnaninaha, Shuddha Andhakaranavantaha, for those understanding self-knowledge, well deserved with the Paroksha-jnana and Shuddha Andhakaranavantaha, which is a clear mind, Chitta Shuddhi, that is called the Sankhya. That is what he said that. Sa yesham jnaninam uchita bhavati ste Sankhya. So there he is saying that this is where the Sankhya is, that for those who have got Chitta Shuddhi. एतस्य बुद्धेः जन्मनः प्रागात्मनः देहादि व्यतिरिक्तत्व कर्तृत्व भोक्तृत्व आदि अपेक्षः धर्माधर्म विवेक पूर्वकः मोक्ष साधन मनुष्ठानं लक्षणो योगः एतस्य बुद्धेः जन्म प्राग आत्मनः देहादि व्यतिरिक्ता च. For this rise of this Sankhya knowledge, this means here Sankhya knowledge, yoga which is based on the understanding of Atma. So the yoga is not just a ritual. It is based on the understanding of Atmana. That is, being different from the body. Atma is different from the body. Karta, Bhokta presupposes understanding of Punya Papa in the performance of the Vedic duties. So, without expectation of the material desire, when you do this, the Agnihotradi, that becomes the Sankhya. Tat Vishaya Buddhir Yogaha Buddhihi. So that is what is called the Sankhya Buddhi, where the understanding regard to the performance of action is very clear that you are neither the doer nor the enjoyer. Tasya Sankhya Buddhyam Jnana Yogena Nishtam Sankhyanam Vivaktanam Vakshati Pura Veda Matmanaha Maya Prokta. So Krishna himself is saying that I have told this in the beginning to Manu, etc. So there are those two understanding. Bhagavan will speak of separate lifestyle committed to the pursuit of knowledge, that is Jnana Yoga Vinishta, based on the understanding of Atma, Sankhya Buddhyasrayam, for the people deserving the self-knowledge. That is Sankhya known. Here it is Sankhya knowledge. By not the Sankhya system, here it is the Advaita beginning. By saying that in the beginning of the creation, twofold lifestyles mentioned by me in the form of Veda, that is a distinct lifestyle in the form of sadhana based on the knowledge of the self for people that are mature, that those who are, who have matured themselves, has been told to in the beginning as twofold lifestyle, pravritti dharma, nivritti dharma. These are the two methods in which you can proceed. If your chitta shuddhi is there, you can take straight away the nivritti dharma of the Upanishads. But if your mind is still caught up in the, not with the, knowledge of the self, but everything other than the self, like the karma yoga, karma, etc., everything, then that is karma yoga nishta. That means you are abiding in the action, committed to the karma as the action, where the doership and enjoyership is there. Evam Sankhya Buddhim Yoga Buddhim Cha Ashritya Dve Nishte Vibhakte Bhagavatokta Jnana Karmanaha. So in this manner, these two distinct lifestyle, pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma, based on the understanding about the self, this self should be known, then only these pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma will become very clear to you. Based on it is understanding of action where the Lord, seeing the impossibility of lifestyle committed to the knowledge and action being one and the same person, the same time, are based on the understanding of non-doership. The difference between non-doership and doership also is understood by the one who is taking the path of Nishresha, Nivritti Dharma. I will stop here. We will continue that what is Shankaracharya's answer towards this in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. I've opened the hand raising and the chat window is also open. I think we have got about 25 minutes for Q&A.
We'll continue tomorrow then.
Okay, Bindoji. So thank you everyone for coming. And Anu is coming up. I'll make the announcements after. Yeah. Namaste, Anu.
Namaste, Anu.
You're muted.
Namaste.
Namaste, Anu.
Yeah, I wanted to like yesterday, like this observation that that we are the awareness, and this is also like a dream. So actually, few months ago I was talking with Atulji, and that was also the same kind of realization had happened, that the same witness is witnessing this waking hour dream, and the same witness witnesses the dream also, right? The both are same actually. But then I forgot about it actually, and it was so clear, just like yesterday it was so clear that, oh, okay, this is also a dream, and it was very clear that time also, but then I forgot. So yeah, so the thing is, why, I mean, how can it be like become like a permanent thing? You were saying something about it, so
Yeah, that's what I was telling to in a question asked by Prakash. How can you do that knowledge as a permanent anchor where we associate ourselves and then take on the life? So there is a verse in this verse which I quoted from Kenopanishad, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. That is, every experience when you are experiencing, you have to remember that it is in you as awareness, the experience are being experienced, but they are not separate from the awareness. Only in the awareness it pops up. We are experiencing that popping up in the awareness as awareness itself, like the wave in the ocean. That is the time when it is every experience we can anchor ourselves as the awareness and go through the experience. That time what happens is that there is no individuality feeling that I am so and so, or I am so in this male, female, etc. And there is no desire on my side in my activity. So the activity which is being done by the body is being witnessed by my awareness. Even though at the body level I will have my I-ness, because the individuality feeling is there in the body. But at the awareness level, the body and the individuality, that ego of the individuality is not possible to remain there. It is the one which gets destroyed. And then this you have to do for every experience when you are saying that the experience is nothing but a wave in my conscious awareness as an ocean. And there is no I who is going through the experience. The experience are also nothing but awareness. If that keeps you repeating, then you will come to a state where you have, a potency or a capability within yourself to anchor yourself or abide in the self and look at the world as the dream. But at the body level, it looks real, but at the awareness level, it's just an awareness. In the awareness, that appearance is there. That can happen only when I am not disassociating myself as a karta or a bhokta. That entity, if ego, that I am the doer and the enjoyer, that's shifting to the Atma and awareness and looking at the world will not happen. This is what you said, that you forgot about it, even though when you heard it. This forgetfulness is the reason why we call it as Maya or Avidya. Why it is happening, how it is happening. If it is really happening, we should find an answer. But if it's only an appearance, you should not be asking why it is happening. Because that is the nature of the Atma or Brahman, to be aware. And the water is not separate from the ocean. Same way, the experiencing objects are not separate from us. So experience is like the wave appearing in the consciousness or awareness. That is where you have to practice as Pratibodha Vidita.
So basically, I should not make it objective, like experiencing is forgetting that I am the awareness when experiencing. I should make it an objective.
Yeah, it will be objective, but at the same time, the object is not real. That also will be there in you. Because it is sustaining. Just because in the dream what happens is that we don't have the logic or capacity to analyze our dream from dreamer. Therefore, the dream world, when dreaming, becomes real. Same is the potency of the awareness in the waking. When it becomes a waker cannot experience outside the waker. It is just like the pot and the mud. We know without mud the pot will not exist. If we remove the pot, we can only, in the knowledge, we can remove the pot as mud and say that there is a shape called pot. But that shape is in the mud. Therefore, the mud pot is nothing but mud only, appearing as a pot. That is how we say about the appearances of the world. Same way, the world which is appearing, including me as the waker enjoying the waking, will become dreamlike only when I abide in the awareness and look at the body, mind, intellect and the objects of the outside. The whole thing is in awareness. There is nothing outside awareness. So you cannot ask, when did I forget or how did I forget? As when the moment you identify with the body, you forget. The body doesn't have the memory of that awareness. Even though it is in awareness, the body's existence also is supported. It cannot know. Just like the index finger cannot touch itself. Why? Because it is always in touch with it. But when we express it as a phenomena, we will say the index finger cannot touch itself. That is the same case with us also. When we are operating at the phenomenal level or the world level, we can only talk about Brahman. But when the insight comes, which Prakash asked in the last class, you were just listening, but that listening took you to beyond your identification with the waker. Seeing the whole thing, including the yesterday's lecture, as a dream-like experience. But what happens? Then again we identify with the body, mind, intellect. At those level, this cannot remain as an experience of dream, because the moment you become waker, the waking becomes real. The moment you become dreamer, the dream world becomes real. So it is not that we have forgotten it, our nature, but we are forgotten how to abide in ourselves and go through the waker and dream and deep sleep. Once you know how to abide in that all the time, all experiences, the world, the waker, everything will be expression of awareness only. That is what is going to make you established in it and never forget it.
So you are saying it is possible to not be the waker.
Not the waker when you are dreamer, when you are in deep sleep. But even in the waker, when you know the waker is not a reality, the waker will be there, but you will be depending upon this awareness as your nature or your truth. So that is where abiding in the self is taking place.
Okay, like today I was trying to be, I was like, okay, this is also dream object, this is dream, dream dish I'm eating, this is dream, this thing, okay, that was this is what was going on. But when I was like talking with somebody, something something which was like disturbing, then I was Anu. And then again, I said, oh, again I became Anu. And then the talk was over. Then again, I was like, okay, this is dream. So, Waker didn't go away. How will it go away? Will it ever go away?
Waker will not go away. Waker will not have the reality feeling. This waker which you are talking now, you have a reality feeling for the waking, dream and deep sleep. It is really happening. But when you are abiding in the self, the waking, dream and deep sleep will continue as Anu is self. But in the waking, the knowledge that you are not the waker will be there with you. Anytime you can shift to that. Even when talking to a friend, you could have shifted from the awareness point and looked at the conversation. But when you forget that, you will forget and become the waker. It is not that it is becoming the waker. The waker is the given name given to the experiences of the awareness in a particular state. That is waking. Same consciousness when experiencing another state, we call it as a dream. But it is all at the awareness level. How do we know that? You did not take out awareness when you were talking to your friend. You were abiding in the self, and that is why the conversation could happen or take place. But what happens is that your mind was engrossed in the subject of the talk, that the mind did not have the capacity to be the awareness and look at the interaction. This will come only after Nididhyasana becomes an effect as a conviction to you that you are no more the body or the intellect. Till then, the waker will come, you will become the waker, but slowly when you are becoming the waker, every experience of the waker, you should analyze it from awareness point of view. That is called the Nididhyasana. And when it matures us, you don't have to do it separately. It will become your nature, where you are no more the individual identity. That time the ego is dissolved. It doesn't have separate thing. And then the ego doesn't come back again. Even though the appearance will continue, the waker will continue, the world will continue, etc. But all of them will go, and the dream will come, dream experience and the dream world will come. They also will go. The deep sleep will come. That also will go. This three keeps rotating, and you will know that all the time the awareness was never taken away or never removed from that, anywhere. It cannot be removed, because everywhere you touch your finger, that the moment you touch the place, the place becomes an existence and known for the awareness of its existence. So there is nowhere where you can shift the awareness to objectify. That is with the problem which we have in our mind. We want to objectify everything. We can objectify the waker, dream and deep sleep. But we cannot objectify the awareness which is aware of the waker, dream and deep sleep.
Yes, thank you so much.
Namaste, Venkat.
It was a good session. So one context, it came in the Yoga Buddhi and Sankhya Buddhi, right? And it has taken the Ashochan, Anyasochatvam, that to reference. Should we wait till that shloka come up? That's the reason should we postpone?
Yeah, you should postpone it because the Jnana Yoga and Sankhya Yoga and their, combined activities will be explained in the 6th chapter. Even though it's Ashochan times Shojastam up to the 31st verse, there is a hint about it or there is a reference to it. But the full elaboration of that comes in the 6th chapter. That is the time when you will know that yoga, what yoga is Krishna is talking about.
We'll wait then, Binduji. Yeah.
Thank you, Venkat.
Which training today? Are you doing well? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing okay. I'm having some irritation in my throat. I don't know whether it is viral infection or not, something. I'm waiting.
Yeah, please, take care before the session.
Yeah. I'm taking medication for it. Let us see. It should subside by tonight or tomorrow morning.
Sure, Binduji. Take care, Binduji.
Thank you, Venkat. Prakash, can we close?
Sure, Binduji. So thank you again for offering us this session, and hope you feel better. And we have one more day, and then you have 2 days break. We all have 2 days break, and then it will be in the new year. So thanks again, everyone, for coming to the session, and see you tomorrow at the same time, 8:30 p.m. IST. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Anu. And thank you all for being there to listen. We will continue this tomorrow. And then we'll be getting into the verse, Ashochan, Anyashochastu. Then thereafter it will be verse by verse. So it will be easy for us. This being an introductory lecture a commentary by Sankarachaya. There is a lot of technical terms he has brought in there. I didn't get into the technical aspect to define and develop it because that is not our purpose. That is why. That's only for people who are all wanting to do the technical analysis by, Tarka, Nyaya, etc. I'm not getting into that mode and telling you that because that is not going to yield us anything. But, people like Anu or wife who ask me the questions, that brings more clarity than the technical analysis of words used by Sankaracharya. Hari Om. Namaste. See you tomorrow.
Night.
Night.